Hey, beautiful. Welcome to the Not Another Mom podcast. It's time to take that mom hat off because this is after hours and I'm making you off the clock. This podcast is here to help you know your worth because damn girl, you're a goddess who deserves to live the life of your dreams. I'm your host, Leslie Sprague, and we talk everything from manifesting to motherhood. Yes, those little monkeys will still creep in here or there. Spirituality to girl talk with your besties, and from business to finding that balance in life. I'm here to remind you that you are worth it. Life gets to be easy for you, and your dreams really can come true. So grab your favorite glass of wine, craft beer, or if you're a whiskey and diet kind of girl, grab that and let's get this show on the road. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Not Just Another Mom podcast. I am your host, Leslie, and I'm very excited to dive into today's topic because we talk a lot about our fears and limiting beliefs, but sometimes I find it helpful to understand why these kinds of things so I'm going to kind of give you the backstory and what I've learned about our fears and our limiting beliefs and where they come from and all of that fun stuff. So our fears and limiting beliefs are stored in your reptilian brain, which is like the very center of your brain. And as time has gone on, human brains have evolved and grown and expanded. So this actual section of the brain is like the oldest part of our brain. And when we think of it like the caveman brain, like it was what the cavemen had back in those times, however many thousand million years ago. And back then, you literally had to fight for your life. You could have had a saber-toothed tiger chasing you. You had to hunt for your food and all those kinds of things. You had to make your house in a cave, and that was totally normal and that back then, but we don't have those same kinds of things around today. But the reptilian brain is from that area, and in a sense it still kind of has that same sort of thinking. So I'm sure you've probably heard of the fight or flight. So back in those times, when you came up against a saber-toothed tiger, you had to decide, shit, this is scary as fuck, and I'm either gonna fight this thing or I'm gonna run away. I'm gonna flight. So that's where these things come from. So when our brain is designed to keep us safe, it wants to keep us safe. And what it doesn't understand now is that we don't have saber-toothed tigers chasing us. And that things are not scary like they were back then. Don't get me wrong. Yes, there are still scary things in the world, but we don't have a saber-toothed tiger chasing us when we are thinking of growing our income, when we are thinking of creating a healthier regime, like exercise, nutrition, all those sorts of things. But the reptilian brain doesn't know the difference. And this is our unconscious thoughts, our beliefs and patterns that have grown with us that we may not even realize that we still have. So that's where these come from. And the reptilian brain still thinks it needs to keep us safe. And in some cases, yes, these things are very important and relevant. But for most things, we don't need a fight or flight. But this is what the brain is trained to do. And the limiting beliefs, up until we are about 7 years old, if you think of our brain as like an open sponge. So all the limiting beliefs that your parents had, that those adults around you have, whether you have older siblings, all those are getting dumped into your brain. Because if you analyze some of your thoughts, like money mindset, when you look at those kinds of things, you quite often have the same money mindset fears. Like, I have to work hard in order to earn money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's the root of all evil. Those kinds of things, quite often they come from our parents or those adults that we had around us. When we are young like that, we don't have a choice as to whether we choose to reject or accept a thought. It just goes right into the little brain bank and gets filed in our unconscious mind. But roughly when we are 7 is when we start to decide, we start to have those tendencies, and it's like a lid closes over our brain, and we get to choose what we want to believe. And again, this is just my interpretation of what I have learned. I am not a doctor on any of these things, but this is my understanding. And so all those beliefs from when we were a kid show up in different ways. Like, I have to work hard in order to be successful. Well, that can show up in your business. That can show up in your exercise regime. That can show up in your nutrition too, because it can be, if you think it's hard work to create nutritious meals and all that, like, it's all part of the mindset. But the beauty is, once we are aware that our brains are playing these mind tricks on us, and they're not tricks, because at one time they were valid, they were what we needed. So they were what we needed. I'm trying to retrace my step. I had like a brain fart in there. Actually, not a brain fart. Like, I had 2 thoughts going at once, and now I'm on the other train and I forget where that train was going. So, yeah, so humans, I'm going to go with the train that I know what I was going to say on, because it'll come back to me. But we as a human race are meant to evolve and grow and expand. So these limiting beliefs and fears want to hold us back from becoming who we want to become, from that evolution, from that growing, because it, in a sense, it looks at these things as a saber-toothed tiger trying to chase us and kill us. That's not the case in today's day and age. We don't have those things, but the brain doesn't know the difference. So this is part of the beauty. We have the choice. When we notice these fears coming up, when you notice those thoughts coming up, you're like, what? I don't like that feeling, that thought anymore. I don't associate with it. Or you get to choose your new thoughts. You get to choose what you want to think. And this is the beauty of the manifesting. This is where manifesting begins. Once you begin to analyze those thoughts, get to the root of them, because they will show up again as you evolve and as you grow. There's going to be new quote unquote saber-toothed tigers that we think we have to overcome. And so we're always growing, we're always evolving. And knowing that it's not just a one and done kind of thing, we are a work in progress. So that is the beauty behind the brain. So when you know that your brain wants to try and trick you into staying safe and that it's actually holding you back from growing, you have the power to choose your thoughts. When you notice those thoughts that no longer serve where you are going anymore, you have the power to choose what you want to train your brain to say instead. And it gets to be second nature. It gets to be easy. So there is your little nugget on the brain. I am so grateful that you are here today, and I can't wait to chat with you next week. Have an amazing week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you love this episode, will you do me a favor and help spread the love? Go ahead and leave a 5-star review and share this episode on your Insta stories. If we aren't yet connected on Instagram, come follow me at Leslie & Co XO. And since everybody spells my name wrong, that's Lesley & Co XO. And leave me a line and say hi. Have an amazing day, beautiful, and we'll catch you next week.